Welcome to Kansas Ag Report with your host, Brian Hallman.
Welcome to Kansas Ag Report. I'm Brian Hallman reporting from the 2015 Kansas Soybean Expo in Topeka. And here's our lineup for today's show. In Ag News, we'll take a look at local and national headlines affecting Kansas farmers. In our Ag Feature, we sit down with Michelle Payne-Knoper from Cause Matters Corporation to discuss advocacy within agriculture. And inside Kansas Ag, Kansas Wheat discusses the upcoming Women Managing the Farm Conference. And KDA tells us all about the month-long celebration of From the Land of Kansas. And in News You Need to Know, we get our weekly update from the Kansas Livestock Association. We'll look back at last week's market activity with the guys from Paragon, and we'll let you know about important events coming up around the state of Kansas. Glad you could join us.
Closed captioning brought to you by Dick Edwards in Manhattan, selling America's #1 truck, the Ford F-150, for over 30 years. DickEdwardsAuto.com.
Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers. kansassoybeans.org.
Ag Risk Solutions. Experience, knowledge, integrity. Your crop insurance solution, Ag Risk Solutions. Dick Edwards Auto Plaza in Junction City, home of this year's Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram Truck. DickEdwardsAuto.com.
Here's our national headlines for this week in Ag News. Despite a push from some lawmakers, the USDA's final rule on labeling mechanically tenderized beef was not released by the Office of Management and Budget. A congresswoman from Connecticut urged the OMB to release the labeling rule, saying those products are not properly labeled for consumers to understand additional safety risk when compared to whole cuts of beef. It will be 3 years before such labels are required, according to the deadline set by the USDA's Food Safety and Inspection Service. Although incidents of porcine epidemic diarrhea virus were dramatically lower last summer and fall, the industry says it has a close eye on the number of cases still being reported. Dr. Lisa Beckton, Director of Swine Health Information and Research for the National Pork Board, says there are vaccines available to help sows pass immunity to piglets, and researchers will continue to focus on sow immunity, but good biosecurity measures are still the best defense against PEDV. USDA reports corn and soybean export projections for the week ending January 1st were above what's needed for the 2014-15 marketing year, while wheat was short of its mark. Corn was reported at nearly 539,000 tons, almost 71,000 lower than the previous week, but still higher than this time last year. Soybeans were reported at 1.4 million tons, 95,000 less than the week before and below last year. Wheat came out just under 353,000 tons, up over 111,000 from the week ending December 25th, but down from this same week last year, missing its projections. And in local news, as the holiday season comes to an end, so does the entry period for the 2015 National Festival of Breads. The entry deadline for this year's competition, sponsored by King Arthur Flour, Red Star Yeast, and Kansas Wheat, is January 16th. Submissions will only be accepted through the online form found at nationalfestivalofbreads.com. Kansas Governor Sam Brownback proclaimed January as From the Land of Kansas Month. With that declaration, Kansas agriculture businesses and products will be celebrated and highlighted throughout the month. For the list of program partners, or if your business is looking to join the program, visit FromTheLandOfKansas.com/Shop Kansas or call 785-564-6700. The 2015 legislative session will convene in Topeka January 12th, and lawmakers will be looking at bills to implement the governor's 50-year vision of water in Kansas. Yet state legislators' biggest challenge will be finding $278 million in spending cuts for the fiscal year 2015 budget and another $435 million from the fiscal year 2016 budget. Education and state highway funds are expected to be two sources in discussion to find those cuts. Up next in our Ag Feature, we sit down with Michelle Payne-Knoper from Cause Matters Corporation to discuss advocacy within agriculture. You're watching Kansas Ag Report from the 2015 Kansas Soybean Expo. Please stay tuned.
This segment brought to you by Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com.
A.B. Flint Motor Company, selling quality used cars and trucks in Southeast Topeka at 32nd and South Kansas Avenue. Integrity Gun and Pawn, 2 Topeka locations specializing in firearms and training. igpawn.com to learn more. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com.
I'm Dr. Frank Lyons, a physician here at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. As one of the only standalone stem cell centers in the U.S., we use your stem cells as therapy for arthritis and some autoimmune diseases.
I'm Dr. Andrew Poe, here at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Utilizing the latest technology under strict protocols, we're able to harvest your stem cells from your own fat to treat a variety of medical conditions. The best part about it is, it's a same-day surgical procedure and requires no general anesthesia.
American innovation is being driven in places you might not expect by people like Brent Hayek, an Oklahoma family farmer, who recently set a world land speed record in a Ford Super Duty pickup truck powered by renewable B20 biodiesel. Advanced performance is here, now, putting America on the fast track to more jobs and energy independence. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
You need a partner that you can count on to be there for your business. Providing a depth of understanding to risk management issues so you don't have to. A knowledgeable support team located in your area, delivering products and services to make you more successful.
Here at Blue River Traders, we have the greatest selection of rustic and western furniture in Kansas.
At Blue River Traders, you can select from an inventory of rustic lodge or western furnishings. With a designer on hand, Blue River Traders will help create the look you desire.
Dick Edwards is taking North Central Kansas by storm. We've been bending over backwards to exceed your car buying experience for over 30 years. Choose from one of our 9 different new car brands or from our second to none used selection. Currently, with over 700 vehicles to choose from, we definitely have the one for you. Whether you're coming from the north, south, east, or west, our sales and service departments will work tirelessly to do what's right for you. Dick Edwards in Manhattan and Junction City, bending over backwards for you.
Thanks for staying with us this morning. We're at the 2015 Kansas Soybean Expo here in Topeka, Kansas, and we're joined by Michelle Payne Knoper. I got it right that time, didn't I? It took 2 times, but I got it right the second time. You're an advocate for agriculture. You farm yourself. Why is it so important that we continue to have advocacy for agriculture? I mean, we think about GMOs and antibiotic use in livestock, and I mean, we really need advocacy.
We really do, Brian, and the reality that I think we have to face in agriculture is that if we don't learn to share our story today, we will lose our right to farm as we best see fit tomorrow. Biotechnology is a great example of that. If you happen to be in the corn business, you might be familiar with what's happened with biotechnology over in Hawaii and how that affects 99% of the seed business here in the States. So the reality is that we are seeing clear bottom line impacts as well as regulation impacts and others from people that don't understand what farming is about today. Only 1.5% of the population in the United States is on a farm or ranch. We're 3 to 4 generations removed, and the reality is we haven't taken the time in agriculture to tell our story because we're stubborn, we're modest, we're independent, we don't want to deal with it. Most people want to be out there dealing with their equipment, their land, or their animals. And my position is very much that we have to invest in the future, our own future, to help people understand where their food comes from. Because if we don't, farming tomorrow is going to look vastly different than it does today.
Well, you think about it, Oregon had a ballot measure this fall in November about GMO labeling, and other states have looked at that as well. Fortunately, those have been shot down, I believe. I know Oregon lost. Again, consumers don't really know what's going on.
They don't, but I think we have to take responsibility in agriculture for the fact that consumers don't, because we've not taken the time in the past. I know everybody's busy with planting or harvest or calving or whatever the latest excuse is, but the reality is if we don't take time to share our story, whether it's reaching out and shaking somebody's hand, or whether it's posting a photo on Instagram, or perhaps it's just sharing information in your church parking lot about what you're doing out in the field today. The reality is people aren't going to understand where their food comes from. And when I wrote my book, No More Food Fights, one of the things that I had to do is to take off the agriculture hat and put on the foodie hat, if you will, and understand the position of where consumers are coming from.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Michelle about her book, No More Food Fight. You're watching Kansas Ag Report, and we'll see you in just a minute.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life. Farmers Insurance, your best protection against the unexpected. Call Agent Dan Key at 785-408-5459. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com. Blue River Traders, the finest selection of Western-style furniture for your home. BlueRiverTraders.com.
Thanks for staying with us. Michelle, thank you for staying with us. We kind of touched on it before we went to break, but you have a new book out called No More Food Fight. What do you mean by No More Food Fight?
No More Food Fights is a two-sided book about growing a more productive farm and food conversation. And what I mean about No More Food Fights is we all eat. Some of us eat many times a day. Actually, some of us love food. And food should not be an emotional, contentious issue. It is a basic necessity. It's something that's important for people to understand where it comes from, rather than to buy in all of the misinformation that's out there. So I wrote No More Food Fights. As I said, it's two-sided. And one side is for the farm audience that addresses the 6.5 steps of how to share your story. And then the other side is for the food audience, people who are interested in bringing some common sense and non-emotionalism to their plate, and that focuses on the 5 senses plus common sense. And then the chapter in the middle is about meeting in the middle, because my whole position with No More Food Fights is that we need to be able to meet in the middle and understand the perspectives of not only farmers, but also dietitians, food buyers, moms, and chefs, and others that
physicians
have influence.
As well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you bring up a good point. We all have one thing in common, is we need to have nutrition to sustain life everywhere. Ourselves, livestock, aquatic. We need food to sustain life. What do you hope people take away from the book?
Well, my hope is that it provides farmers and others in agriculture with the tools to be able to tell their story. This is not rocket science. It's about talking about something that we love, something that we're out there doing every day, something that, quite frankly, is novel to the majority of the population. And if I could just get some farmers that are out there sharing photos on Facebook, or perhaps shooting a video on YouTube, I know that sounds terrible, but being able to do some things like that, I think it would make a huge difference. And I actually had 35 different contributors to the book, including Darren Grimm from Kansas and Ryan Weeks from Nebraska, Zach Honeycutt from Nebraska, for those of you that are viewing from the northern state. But it's a great opportunity for farmers to be able to learn from others about why this is important. And then on the food side, I really wrote it because I see so many of my fellow moms that are buying into the guilt about how to buy food, and I think it's really unfortunate. As a mom, I take great responsibility in how I feed my daughter, and have for her entire lifetime. And I know how easy it is to feel guilty. The reality is that food does not have to be complicated today. And if you are making your decisions on how you buy food based upon your social and ethical responsibilities and information that is realistic and hopefully science-based, then no judgment on how you buy your food. I think that's a personal choice. So No More Food Fights really tries to focus on getting people to meet in the middle of the plate, if you will.
And you also have a website that I think people should go and check out. It also gives them good information there as well.
Thanks. I do have causematters.com. There is a blog on there called Gate to Plate blog, which I'm not real great about updating anymore, but there are a tremendous amount of articles for both farmers, foodies, dietitians. My goal in my work as a professional speaker is really to bring people together around the plate and to connect the people in science of food and farming.
Perfect. Michelle, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Michelle, No More Food Fights is a new book. You can find it, I'm sure, online or at your local bookstore.
American innovation is being driven in places you might not expect by people like Brent Hayek, an Oklahoma family farmer, who recently set a world land speed record in a Ford Super Duty pickup truck powered by renewable B20 biodiesel. Advanced performance is here, now, putting America on the fast track to more jobs and energy independence. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
The 12th Annual Women Managing the Farm Conference will be held in Manhattan, Kansas on February 5th and 6th, 2015. The conference is designed to give insight to women about managing their farm investment. Over the course of the two-day conference, approximately 300 women will hear presentations concerning agricultural topics. Optional pre-conference sessions begin on February 4th with choices of attending Amazing Grazing 2 or a tour of the KSU Grain Science Complex, including the Kansas Wheat Innovation Center. The conference begins February 5th with networking sessions tailored to agricultural partners, independent producers, helpers, absentee landowners, industry career women, business managers, and women with family in the military. Thursday will be filled with speakers and breakout sessions on topics ranging from the Farm Bill to succession planning to marketing. February 6th will begin with a keynote from Judy Adams, President of the Wheat Foods Council. Sessions on Friday will overlap with the Kansas Commodity Classic, giving attendees the opportunity to interact with other producers from around the state. The event will conclude with a luncheon presentation titled Lessons Learned from the 3-Year Debate on the 2014 Farm Bill by K-State's Dr. Barry Flinchbaugh. Registration is available at womenmanagingthefarm.info.
If you'd like to advertise your business on kansasAGreport, give us a call at 785-554-5974.
We are excited that Kansas Governor Sam Brownback proclaims January as From the Land of Kansas Month. With that brings celebration and promotion of Kansas agricultural businesses and products. This January, follow the hashtag LandofKS or visit FromTheLandOfKansas.com/blog to connect with Kansas businesses, learn their stories, and see how agriculture touches all of our lives. For those interested in establishing or growing your local farmers market, we are partnering with KDHE and K-State Research and Extension to host the State Farmers Market Conference February 28th through March 1st in Manhattan. This conference is geared towards market managers, market board members, city and county officials working to enhance a current market or start a new market. In addition, we're hosting 5 regional workshops for market vendors. The first workshop is January 30th in Hayes. 4 additional workshops will be held at various locations across Kansas during the first 3 months of the year. For information about a regional workshop or state conference in your area, visit FromTheLandOfKansas.com/FM conference. Also, mark your calendars now for the From the Land of Kansas annual conference, planned for February 26th and 27th in Manhattan. The conference details and registration materials are available at our website, FromTheLandOfKansas.com/a-meeting. That's an update from the Land of Kansas. See you next month.
This segment brought to you by Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. A.B. Flint Motor Company, selling quality used cars and trucks in Southeast Topeka at 32nd and South Kansas Avenue. Integrity Gun and Pawn, 2 Topeka locations specializing in firearms and training. igpawn.com to learn more. Impact Satellite, your local authorized DirecTV dealer. Impact Satellite at 785-554-5974.
Dick Edwards is taking North Central Kansas by storm. We've been bending over backwards to exceed your car buying experience for over 30 years. Choose from one of our 9 different new car brands or from our second to none used selection. Currently, with over 700 vehicles to choose from, we definitely have the one for you. Whether you're coming from the north, south, east, or west, our sales and service departments will work tirelessly to do what's right for you. Dick Edwards in Manhattan and Junction City, bending over backwards for you.
Imagine having someone help you pick the best corn hybrids for every field on your farm. Your Oldie representative can combine your data with his data to offer a field-by-field prescription. Contact Oldie Seed today at 877-692-4555.
Tammy the Pro Home Plus is all about providing warmth and kindness to aging individuals who find it difficult to live on their own. Tammy's team is made up of experienced caregivers and nurses committed to the highest level of individualized care, focusing on health and well-being, and assisting with nutrition, grooming, medications, therapies, and daily living needs, all in a warm, caring environment. Call Tammy the Pro Home Plus today at 785-383-7094 to learn how we can help.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
This hog is head over hoof for meal made from U.S. soybeans. Now, one hog isn't that impressive, but suppose we add another, and another, and another. Before long, you've got billions of hungry customers around the world all clamoring for the same thing. Our soybeans. Learn more about the billion-dollar appetite of animal agriculture at BeyondTheElevator.com. Brought to you by America's soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Dick Edwards is taking North Central Kansas by storm. We've been bending over backwards to exceed your car buying experience for over 30 years. Choose from one of our 9 different new car brands or from our second to none used selection. Currently, with over 700 vehicles to choose from, we definitely have the one for you. Whether you're coming from the north, south, east, or west, our sales and service departments will work tirelessly to do what's right for you. Dick Edwards in Manhattan and Junction City. Bending over backwards for you.
Since 1983, the Hydrobed has been utilized on cattle operations throughout North America. The Hydrobed equips your 3/4 or 1-ton truck for hay handling and feeding. Variable speed cable controls or the optional wireless remote enable you to haul, transport, and unroll 2 round bales weighing up to 3,000 pounds each. A mechanical free float automatically compensates for uneven ground and out of round bales, isolating you and the truck from impact of bale unrolling. To find out how the Hydrobed can improve your feeding efficiency, call or visit us on the web at triple-c-inc.com.
State legislators will assemble in Topeka January 12th to convene the 2015 legislative session. The first challenge on the agenda will be finding $278 million in spending cuts to offset less than budgeted tax revenues for fiscal year 2015. Beyond that, legislators will need to cut another $435 million from the fiscal year 2016 budget. Education and the State Highway Fund are expected to be 2 sources closely scrutinized during budget shortfall discussions. Some state legislators will undoubtedly suggest selling state assets to the private sector. Another alternative to budget cuts is to raise taxes, increase fees, or transfer fee fund reserves to the general fund. All these options are expected to be seriously debated. Some budget items and exemptions affecting livestock producers also could be at risk. Aside from the financial situation, state lawmakers will look at bills to implement the governor's 50-year vision of water in Kansas. Kansas Livestock Association members will analyze legislative proposals on water conservation and determine any position the organization should take. A holdover issue from the last session is state law governing the use of unmanned aerial vehicles or drones. KLA testified on a bill last year that would provide some level of privacy and protection of property rights. Similar bills are expected to be debated this year.
Good morning, I'm Chris Haverkamp, and as we start 2015, we like to pause a moment and take stock of where we've come from and where we are going. First, in the corn market, we have just come off a record production year, or so we think, based upon the most recent USDA report, and yet we are within 20 cents of a year ago. Soybeans may not have had quite the production this year, yet we are trading $2.50 per bushel lower. In KC wheat, once again a very strong production year, but we are within 10 cents of our values in January 2014. And finally, crude oil. The big headline of the past several weeks is trading $45 per barrel from where we were just 1 year ago. So what does this all mean? To us, it reflects that despite the fact that the investment community has lost some interest in the commodity space, we continue to see a growing world population and a growing world demand for all food products. This doesn't necessarily mean that we are raging bulls here at Paragon, but rather we are sensitive to the fact that we are in a transition in agriculture. from strong expansion and financial stability to one where things may become more stagnant over the next several years. Keeping your head and having a strong marketing plan are essential to avoiding marketing emotionally and having decisions that can become detrimental to your long-term business stability. Now, case in point, next week we have the latest USDA supply and demand report out on Monday the 12th at 11 a.m. This report will likely hold crucial information for our direction as we begin the new year. Our bias remains neutral all the grains at the present time as we wait for the final numbers from the 2014 production to arrive and as we prepare to focus on South America weather in earnest. We hope you and your family have a successful 2015.
Closed captioning brought to you by Dick Edwards in Manhattan, selling America's #1 truck, the Ford F-150, for over 30 years. DickEdwardsAuto.com.
Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers. kansassoybeans.org.
Ag Risk Solutions. Experience, knowledge, integrity. Your crop insurance solution, Ag Risk Solutions. Dick Edwards Auto Plaza in Junction City, home of this year's Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram Truck. DickEdwardsAuto.com.
Well, that's our show for today from the 2015 Kansas Soybean Expo. I hope you'll join us each week for more news and information about agriculture in the state of Kansas. I'm Brian Holman, and thanks for watching.
Here at Blue River Traders, we have the greatest selection of rustic and western furniture in Kansas.
At Blue River Traders, you can select from an inventory of rustic lodge or western furnishings. With a designer on hand, Blue River Traders will help create the look you desire.
Imagine having someone help you pick the best corn hybrids for every field on your farm. Your Oldie representative can combine your data with his data to offer a field-by-field prescription. Contact Oldie Seed today at 877-692-4555.
Tammy the Pro Home Plus is all about providing warmth and kindness to aging individuals who find it difficult to live on their own. Tammy's team is made up of experienced caregivers and nurses committed to the highest level of individualized care, focusing on health and well-being, and assisting with nutrition, grooming, medications, therapies, and daily living needs, all in a warm, caring environment. Call Tammy the Pro Home Plus today at 785-383-7094 to learn how we can help.